Hey, Christian, I'll hit Mike on and off. I don't know if you have to do that for him or not. I'll hit Mike on and off. I don't know if you do that for him or not. Okay, because Will was always trying to do it, but I'll do it. So we'll do the intro, and after the intro, I'll just say something like, let's check on the pulse around. You'll do the pulse check. Yep. Yeah. Not necessarily, but we'll take them. It's all good. I like the pep talk. No, you have to send them a link. You have to send them a link. Built for your busy morning. We're getting started with something brand new to bring you the most important, interesting stories of the day, from local triad updates to national trends, covering news, entertainment, sports, and lifestyle, all in really a quick, jam-packed hour. It's the Daily Pulse back here with you on WSJS, and you can stream us all the time on WSJS.com. You can also stream the video on our X page at WSJS Radio or on YouTube. And as always, you can give us a call, 336-777-1600. You can report traffic updates. If you see something crazy out there, we want to keep you informed, but you can also be a part of it to keep us informed as well. Christian Snyder, of course, here riding along with us. What's up, man? How are you? Yeah, absolutely. We need to get everybody up to speed with the latest and greatest out there. Let's start with the pulse check. So we'll start with some local North Carolina news, and it does surround sports this morning, as you might expect, with the NCAA tournament. That's really been a big portion of everybody's pastimes, I would imagine, throughout the weekend. Unfortunately, that doesn't. Tar Heels lost out in an upset loss to VCU over the weekend, blowing a 19-point lead. They scored just 3 points in overtime. Another local triad-based team, High Point University, also losing out in the round of 32. We're going to cover both of those this morning for you, and some time spent with Will. He's the host of The Drive that you can hear here on WSJS from 4 to 6 each and every weekday evening. He'll catch us up to speed on the bracket overall, plus on the Tar Heels, maybe some discussion about Hubert Davis's future there for UNC. And speaking of High Point, we'll get back to them briefly, but we also have a few other headlines to get to as well. Lawmakers targeting hospital tax breaks in a big way, as legislatures are proposing to cut major tax exemptions for nonprofit hospitals, including property tax and sales tax refunds. Hospitals could be forced to pay millions more, shifting revenue over to local governments. A surge in sports gambling is definitely out there, and that is affecting us here in our state as well, as a new report shows that gambling addiction is on the rise as well here in North Carolina. With March Madness underway that we just referenced before, betting activity is spiking, raising concerns among health experts and policymakers. In our nation's news, well, you probably noticed it. Oil prices are something that's affecting us all locally at our pumps even. Markets are trying to rebound after weeks of losses, helped by temporary easing of tensions with Iran, but the oil prices have been very volatile, and that's affecting the aviation industry as well. But the disappointing part about the aviation side of things this morning is that there has been a fatal plane crash at LaGuardia Airport. An Air Canada aircraft hit a fire truck there, and that snarled all sorts of traffic there last night. The escalating U.S.-Iran crisis is it's up and down. President Donald Trump has issued a 48-hour ultimatum demanding Iran reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and he mentioned direct this morning that his ultimatum would be now eased because of some positive conversations that they shared this morning. Another great thing that we will have each and every Monday morning for you is a market update from our friends over at Edward Jones, a good friend of mine, Doug Eslick. After 15 years as a Division I men's basketball coach and still actually a championship winning coach at Forsyth Country Day School, Doug is also now a financial advisor with Edward Jones here in the Triad. You can go visit his office at 112 Lowe's Foods Drive in Louisville. And you can also email him, douglas.eslick@edwardjones.com. But after today, he'll be able to get in here every single Monday to speak on this a lot more fluidly and update you on the latest trends in the market better than I could. However, I do have this to share, that stocks are opening the week on a lower note this morning. Futures are down about 1% as investors continue pulling back after last week's sell-off, with tech stocks leading that decline. Concerns around interest rates and the overall economic outlook are still weighing on the market right now. But the bottom line is it's cautious, I would say. Cautious risk start to the week on Wall Street. Each and every day here on the Daily Pulse with you, 9 to 10, Monday through Friday, Christian and I are going to share with you a Pulse pick, maybe a question that you could be a part of. You could do that at WSJS.com, or you could always reach out to us by phone, 336-777-1600. Wouldn't be a huge mystery what our Pulse pick is for today, Christian, but the question is this. Should UNC change their basketball coach and relieve Hubert Davis? Right. Well, I'll tell you, a person that is a fan would be Will Dalton. He's the host of The Drive. We're going to check in with him this next half hour. He'll be able to update us possibly on Hubert's future there. So if you want to tune in and be a part of that poll question, like I said, Future Times, WSJS.com right now, 336-777-1600 if you'd like to jump in on that. Speaking of that NCAA tournament, though, Christian, High Point University, another local Triad-based team, my beloved alma mater, quite frankly, had a remarkable run. And they became really the story of this NCAA tournament, I would say, for the first round, most definitely. And, a large portion of the second round as well. Finally, last night, for those that may not stayed up because these games are pretty late, we finally started seeing a few different upsets. Like, for instance, the ACC sent 8 teams to the NCAA tournament. There's now only one of those that has continued after Virginia lost to Tennessee, and that would be Duke. They continue forward in the tournament. But really, High Point captured our country's attention for a couple different days there. Sadly, their run did come to an end in the round of 32 against Arkansas, 94-88. There was 36 points scored from Darius Acuff Jr., who was a Razorback player, and 3 others that were in double figures for John Calipari's squad. Rob Martin had 30 points and Cam Fletcher, 25 points with 8 rebounds for High Point. And after the game, head coach of High Point University, the Panthers there, Christian, gave some comments about what his thoughts were after this remarkable run. win, lose, or draw, that second game still just staying competitive with an SEC championship Razorback squad has dramatically changed the future for High Point University in and of itself, but also the basketball program. Now, other students also were able to react to this because, you see, High Point's not just your ordinary university. They shipped out over 400 or at least over 300 students from their student body out to Portland, Oregon for the weekend of games. And I know there was a lot of proud Panthers. So where do we stand now after the first two rounds are over? We have a Sweet 16 that'll start this next week. I don't know about you, Christian. My bracket is certainly busted, and we join the rest of the country, quite frankly, at this point. There are now 0 perfect brackets that remain. Just 29% of brackets had Tennessee winning yesterday over Virginia, so that's really where the bubble burst. But it continued. Kansas also lost yesterday. Man, who else am I forgetting? It is just, like I said, a big change in one day's time for people's brackets. For the Sweet 16, by conference, if you're interested in those type of figures, the Big 10 has 6 teams remaining. The SEC has 4. The Big 12, 3. Big East, 2. And as already referenced before, the Atlantic Coast Conference has 1. Absolutely. It's a huge change. Good thing we have a paper shredder down the hallway for me and you for our brackets. But as we go and set to take a break here, as I said, Will Dalton, host of The Drive, will join us here this next half hour and update us sports fans on what the NCAA tournament looks like as we head into the Sweet 16. Maybe some questions around our Pulse pick. Hubert Davis, should they get rid of him or not? 336-777-1600. Your thoughts? More local headlines like forest bathing coming up next here on WSJS. Like it? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Computer's working. Hey, so on Will, I didn't send him a link yet, but I told him around 9:30. Cool. send the link. Camera look good? It's the Daily Pulse, back here with you on WSJS.com. Speaking of our website, don't forget, we have our springtime winning up on WSJS with a lot of great prizes. And quite frankly, it doesn't take a lot. I know it's early here in the morning. All you got to do is click on the site. There's a banner there. You click on that, you put your information in, you're bound to win something good, like potentially a $25 gift card to East Coast Wings off of New Garden Road in Greensboro or in Kernersville. Here's something really cool, Christian, by the way. People could win tickets to the Dave Matthews Band. Summertime Tour 2026, Coastal Credit Union Music Part. That is on Friday, June 6th for those interested. And other great prizes as well there. Just go to our website. Appreciate you being with us this morning. Our Pulse Pick question, should Hubert Davis get relieved of his duties at UNC? You can chime in there, 336-777-1600 if you'd like. Right now, we're going to get to some other North Carolina news pieces across our state this morning, like a new trend that's getting people outdoors. I will say it was nice over the weekend. We set record high temperatures yesterday. We're going to have a little bit of an unsettled weather pattern, it looks like, for this week, where we go on a roller coaster ride, typical bipolar North Carolina weather that we often see. But the people that wanted to get out and enjoy it put something new into practice. Not sure if you've heard of it. I certainly had not, but it's called forest bathing. From the Japanese practice, and I am not Japanese here, but I'm going to give it a whirl anyways. Shinrin-yoku is the practice of forest bathing in Japan. If you're like me and had no idea what this is, it's where people intentionally immerse themselves in nature to try to reduce stress, especially in today's overwhelming news patterns and cycles, just like you get right here, full and fast-paced early morning on the Daily Pulse. So you might be finding yourself a little bit later this afternoon forest bathing, like some people did this weekend in Raleigh at J.C. Ralston Arboretum. A small group got together there to forest bathe, where they breathed and meditated. They walked slowly around the park. Sensory engagement, like touching trees, smelling plants, listening to sounds. A lot of what I'm sharing here sounds very tongue-in-cheek, and it sounds as if I would be poking the bear a little bit, but I'm not. I think it's truly a good thing. Sadly, for somebody like myself, oftentimes I just don't have the time to be able to invest to do it. Have you heard of grounding before? Yeah, no, it's very similar to the bathing part. People believe that if they get out barefooted and touch the earth, the grass with their feet, now they're kind of one with, I don't know, the rhythms of our country, our world, and they feel better, I guess. And there's actually shoes that are even grounding shoes. Well, I'll tell you this. There's definitely people in Winston-Salem, are part of the triad, that need to go for a walk today. And I'm going to share a story with you in just a second about that. But speaking of getting outside with the forest bathing, problems potentially for you, your family, your friends, and that is pollen, allergens. I already know for myself, when I went out yesterday, hopped in my truck, there's a little film of greeny, yellowy dust that's already hitting my windshield. Well, there's a study that's been done for the national allergy capitals, and one of them is right here in our triad. It's one of the most challenging places in the United States, this study says, for seasonal allergies, affecting health, productivity, daily life for thousands of people locally. And where, you might ask? That's Winston-Salem. 19th in the United States for this study on allergy and having the worst effects on our health. Nearby Raleigh ranked even higher, where they were bathing. That's number 7 on the list of 20 worst cities for allergies. Fortunately for you and I, Christian, and all those probably, except for those listening on WSJS.com, but Boise, Idaho is number 1 on this list, where you're probably coughing, sneezing, full of snotty liquids coming out of your nose, quite frankly, with this time of the year that we're seeing now. You may not be, but car wash companies, they love it. By the way, hit me up and I'll be able to take care of your business here on the Daily Pulse and WSJS. There is a story that also reports things for Winston-Salem again. They're just getting hit right, left, and center this morning about the city being on the most obese cities list now in the United States, based on a new national study that was just released, I should say. Winston-Salem ranking 18th out of 100 metro areas on the list done by Wallet Hub. They compared cities across 3 major categories, for those wondering why we received that ranking: obesity and overweight rates, health consequences like how much heart disease and diabetes we're seeing in our area, food and fitness access, so like how many parks and how many different things. But those weren't the only things listed. There were 19 different metrics used to make sure that Winston-Salem got inside this top 20. Other North Carolina areas, like, I wonder how they're doing. Well, Greensboro is 28th on this list, Charlotte 43rd, and Raleigh was 66th. Bigger isn't always better, but there's something coming to the triad where people, they're just dying for it. I'm not certain I understand it exactly, but it's big. I'll tell you that. Christian, have you ever been to a Buc-ee's before? The hype, I'm not certain about it. I've been to it once. New details out. The Buc-ee's is coming. It's going to be here soon. It says late 2027 in Mebane, 34-acre site, 120 gas pumps, 600 parking spaces, big, 300 full-time jobs. I mean, it's just huge for Buc-ee's there. Just like this show, the Daily Pulse, off to a huge start. We appreciate you being with us on WSJS.
Rhodes Ford in Kernersville. Fast brakes, fast trucks, built Ford tough. The road to the championship runs through WSJS and WSJS.com.
Piedmont Triad area weather. We have a front making us with it, and then behind that front, some gusty winds turning around from the north with a very dry air mass in place and those strong winds. We do have some elevated fire weather concerns for today. Our high temperature right around 75, and then we're dipping to the upper 30s for tonight with some clouds around, still a gusty north wind. Sunny on Tuesday, the high upper 50s, dry weather Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Nairmore for News Talk Sports for the Triad, WSJS.
Over the years, you've always wondered and you've questioned where to get the best news, talk shows, sports, and weather updates. But now there's one thing you're certain of. No doubts, ever. Turn your curiosity into certainty with WSJS.com. Listen live worldwide. Meet your favorite hosts. Get the latest concert info, exciting contests, and cheer for local sports teams. Visit online at WSJS.com and never question your source of entertainment again.
This Easter season, Calvary invites you to join us as we remember the death and resurrection of our Savior Jesus. On Friday, April 3rd, we'll gather together for a night of sorrowful rejoicing as we worship and reflect on the cost of the cross. Then, on Sunday the 5th, we'll gather across our campuses to celebrate our risen Savior. For more details, go to calvarynow.com/Easter. All are welcome, so come as you are, and let's celebrate the victory of Jesus and the hope we have in Him.
Life can be hectic, but Northwest Ace is here to help you tackle any project with ease. From expert advice to top-notch supplies, they've got everything you need. Why run around when you can measure twice, shop once, and get it right the first time? As your friendly neighborhood hardware store, they offer instant savings for members right in the store. Visit Northwest Ace at 3450 Robin Hood Road in Winston-Salem, online at northwesthardware.com. Northwest Ace, the helpful place.
March Madness, NCAA Tournament, and the number 99.
This is True Commentary with Stu Epperson, author and host of Truth Talk Live.
All kinds of bracket busters, all kinds of teams going home and teams advancing. But one great story, Chase Johnson, number 99, just hit the game-winning shot to advance High Point University past an higher-ranked, bigger opponent, Wisconsin. Chase Johnson gave all glory to God in his testimony, and he wears the number 99. And he tells of how he got that jersey number because he gave up his original number to an incoming player who wanted his first number, number 2. Chase said, I'll take number 99. Why? Because it reminds me of the Good Shepherd who left the number 99 sheep to come after the one, and I was that one. and so are you if you know the Lord, and so am I. Thank God Jesus is a great Savior. Thank God for this timely reminder amid the chaos of March Madness.
Join Stu on radio, social media, and his daily Truth Talk Live podcast. Learn more at truthnetwork.com.
The Daily Pulse, the sound of the triad amplified. Your front row seat to the voices, issues, and energy driving the triad.
Break in my waist, I don't play with the fakes.
Back to the Daily Pulse with Stephen Back.
Welcome back, and top of the morning to you back here on WSJS, the News Talk Sports Station for the Triad. This is the Daily Pulse. You got me, you got Christian Snyder riding along. In a second, we're going to actually also hear from another member, that is, of our WSJS team, Will Dalton, who hosts The Drive weekdays 4 to 6 here to get an update on our NCAA tournament brackets. Also, maybe some thoughts on our Pulse pick question of the day of whether or not Hubert Davis should remain the Tar Heels head coach. But right now, let's do a quick reset here for all those joining us.
1, 2, let's go.
There is an ongoing partial U.S. government shutdown right now, and the major issue nationwide that people are seeing is that it's disrupting travel at airports. Massive airport delays, up to 5 hours happening, and the situation could hit a breaking point by March 27th when workers miss another paycheck. Also, oil prices and it affecting us at the pump, but also the aviation industry. Well, it didn't so much directly affect this, but we should mention that there was a fatal plane crash at LaGuardia Airport last evening that shut down the airport temporarily. Here at home, the major headlines seem to be lawmakers, because our state legislature has 120 seats up for grabs in the November 26 election. Legislatures are also proposing to cut major tax exemptions now for nonprofit hospitals. The other really seemingly big stories for our local area circulate around High Point University and UNC, both in the NCAA tournament. Sadly, each of their runs did come to an end. And so now that's where we're going to catch up with WD, Will Dalton, who hosts The Drive here on WSJX 4 to 6. What's up, WD? How are you, man?
I'm doing terrific. I'm caffeinated. Needed to be after a long night of basketball, and we're ready to roll.
Yeah, it's early, this thing here for you. You're not accustomed to this. And actually, are you still like in practice? Because I guess with our coverage of the NCAA tournament, Westwood won, kind of eating up the airwaves for you late last week. You've had a couple days of rest, I guess?
I have. You know, it's funny. I woke up on Thursday at like, I don't know, 8:30, and I woke up from a text to a text from our boss, Mike Carbone, and he's like, "Hey, I just heard your promo playing. You don't have a show today." So I was like,
"It's a great way to find out."
Yeah, it's like, oh, so I can take a day off. Say less.
Yeah, there you go. I hear you. Well, I imagine much of that time off was spent still glued to the TV, like many Americans watching the NCAA tournament, first 2 rounds now that we get to the Sweet 16 later this week. I want to start there, though. What do you feel like is really the story thus far of the tournament?
I mean, there's so many good ones. Obviously, High Point was one of them, but they're eliminated. But that doesn't mean they still can't be one of the great stories of the tournament. Texas, quite frankly, they're a great story in the tournament. We know all too well about them because they were in that first 4 game in Dayton against NC State. Darn near blew the game to the Pack, but ultimately they prevailed, and to get past Gonzaga the way they did. So now they've got another real test against number 2 Purdue. I guess you could say Texas is I wouldn't call them a Cinderella, but they're an 11 seed. So that's a pretty great story. But the story in the tournament that's the best overall right now going into the Sweet 16 continues to be that East region, because you have Duke, St. John's, Michigan State, and UConn. That's Shire, Patino, Izzo, and Hurley. And just to give you some more perspective on that, I looked this up, and this is a courtesy of our friend Connor O'Neill at Devils Illustrated. That's 5 national championships, 18 Final Fours, and over 2,000 career wins among those 4 teams. It's just insane. I mean, we knew that side of the bracket was going to be insane anyway, but the way it's shaken out for the Sweet 16, I cannot wait to see what takes place in Washington, D.C. later in the week.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I don't know if you saw this, WD. I saw it pop up on social media earlier today. The ticket prices, the going rate to get into that.
I didn't see this. What is it?
Oh man, it's a hurting on some people's wallets if you really want to get to DC and see these teams. Which I mean, you're talking about Hall of Fame level coaches here to start with before you even talk about the talent that's all over the floor. I do want to ask you about the ACC though a little bit.
Yeah,
they sent 8 teams to the NCAA tournament. Now we've got just 1 remaining. What do you make of their performance?
It was certainly a better year for the ACC getting 8 teams in the way they did. Now it ultimately comes down to Duke. I don't think anybody's really surprised by that because Duke has just separated in such an insane way from the rest of the ACC. But I've been very impressed with Miami and what they've done. I thought Louisville had a great run. They just ran up against a much better Michigan State team yesterday. Tom Izzo, again, Miami, love what they are doing, but Purdue, they're Purdue. They're really, really good. I was very disappointed last night in Virginia because they were one of my Final Four teams. Because I was like, you know what? I feel like they could go toe-to-toe with Michigan because they also, Michigan's known for their size, but with DeRitter and Onyenso, like Virginia's got size too. And I saw it up close and personal in Charlotte last week at the ACC tournament with the way they block. I mean, what was it, 9 blocks I think Onyenso had against Duke in the ACC title game. I thought they were a team that could really go toe-to-toe with Michigan's size, but ultimately came up a little short against Tennessee yesterday. But much better year for the ACC. Now they just got to keep building. And with a very much imminent coaching change in Chapel Hill, you were talking about storylines in the NCAA tournament. Well, one of the best storylines in college basketball isn't even in the tournament anymore.
Which one is that? You piqued my interest here. Which one are you saying is the best storyline?
Well, that's the situation in Chapel Hill.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now. Yeah. Well, let's go there. I want to get your thoughts. You are a self-proclaimed Tar Heel fan. Is that safe to say?
Very much Tar Heel, born and bred.
Yeah,
I'm objective, Joe, but I'm a Tar Heel fan.
Right. No, it's okay to own it. I'm a High Pointer homer all the way. So
that's it.
What are your thoughts there? I mean, Hubert Davis, he's got a contract that sets him up to be there through 2030, gets paid about $3 million a year. Certainly you'd have buyouts to consider, but his tournament record after just starting off about as good as anybody could ever dream and imagine, being a national runner-up in 22, with an up and down roller coaster to it, the past 2 years, the Tar Heels haven't made it out of the first game. So do we think that this is the end for Hubert Davis being the head coach?
I think so. And I'll be honest, this has really, really escalated quickly. I mean, it was not pretty against VCU. What was it? Thursday night, Friday night, whatever night it was. Days run together at some point.
Friday.
But yeah, you're up 19. It's funny. I was talking to Josh Graham yesterday. And we had our show from 4 to 7 on Westwood One Sports yesterday. You could also listen to it on WSJS. But we were saying that going into that game, it's like you really weren't having much of a conversation about Hubert's hot seat. But I do remember at the ACC tournament amongst media people after they lost to Clemson the way they did, digging an 18-point hole and then bringing it all the way down to 1 where – a half-court heave was, all they had left to do, which obviously was well short. But we were saying, like, if you go out getting crushed at Duke the way you did, and then pretty much getting crushed against Clemson the way you did, looking completely outmatched in the ACC tournament, and you get bounced in the first round to VCU because of the 6-11 games, that was the smallest spread line at Carolina favored 2.5. So the thinking there was, this could escalate very quickly if Hubert also gets bounced in the first round. So now 3 of the last 4 years, whether it was this one, whether it was last year where they just barely snuck in the NCAA tournament with Bubba Cunningham as the head of the committee, I might add.
Yep.
And then missing the tournament completely the year after they went to the national title game. You haven't gotten to the second round 3 of the last 4 years. So that is not the Carolina standard. And even the year that they went to the title game, I mean, they had to catch lightning in a bottle to get there. Like, they were an 8 seed. Like, if you think back to that season, it's like it wasn't even that one wasn't great. The only really from start to finish good season they've had under Hubert Davis was that Harrison Ingram, Cormac Ryan year in 2024 when they swept Duke. They were a 1 seed in the tournament. And they lost a heartbreaker to Alabama in the Sweet 16. Like, other than that, that's it. But, like, the fact that we're even trying to debate, is it good enough? Like, that's a problem because that's not the Carolina standard. It's just not.
Yeah, and I would say Duke, continuing their run with a John Shire-led team is also equally putting as much pressure on the whole thing as anything. We're running a little short on time. I was wondering, though, what names have you potentially heard that could slide in that spot?
Todd Golden at Florida is an interesting one. I mean, Carolina is one of the best jobs, if not the best possible job to open up in the country when it does open up, maybe other than Duke, but that ain't going to be opening up as we know. Todd Golden's a great one they got money to spend. You're going to have to give over control. It's time for Carolina to go out of the Carolina family for this hire, ultimately, is what needs to happen because it's a new day in college basketball and they need to evolve. And in doing that, if you go get a Todd Golden, if you attempt to get a Dan Hurley from UConn, which I don't think he's going to leave UConn, you're going to have to give over complete control to them. And that's a step Carolina's going to have to take. TJ Otzelberger at Iowa State. I think he's an interesting name. Mark Byington at Vanderbilt. Grant McCaslin at Texas Tech.
I know you said go out of the family. I mean, just wanted to remind you real quick. Wes Miller is sitting out, by the way. So you.
Yeah, but.
I think it's pretty well said that he's going to be in UNC Charlotte. WD, man, are we going to be back in studio today for the drive, 4 to 6?
I will be here.
Awesome.
Got lots to talk about.
Yeah. Folks need to tune in. Follow WD on the drive each and every weekday here on WSJS. Man, go back to bed for a little bit.
I don't think I will.
Appreciate you being with us, buddy.
Yep.
All right, coming back, we've got some national headlines to get to and some really strange stories at that on the Pulse.
Springtime winning on WSJS is a time to explore and discover fresh prizes, fresh starts, and a chance to bloom big. Make every moment a winner by scoring tickets to the hottest concerts, thrilling races, or your favorite team's game. Spring brings the bling, and winning is just a click away at WSJS.com. We're not just blooming, we're booming with fresh prizes at WSJS.com.
Look at her. She's a beauty. My brand new Lincoln Navigator from Parkway Lincoln. I just stand here and look at her. I've had many SUVs in my lifetime, but this new Lincoln Navigator is something else. Modern technology that I'm still learning, but man, it's great. And the price? You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Discover the American luxury Lincoln SUV at Parkway Lincoln today. Awesome selection of SUVs, low interest rates, and maybe even bonus cash back. Parkway Lincoln of Winston-Salem.
Them big auto dealers talk a lot about price, but what about a dealer that treats you like family? That's why I love Parkway Lincoln here in Winston-Salem. You're not just a dealer, they're your neighbor. Family owned with 2 locations, they offer that quiet, smooth, spacious American luxury SUV you crave, with an experienced staff ready to help. And being an authorized Lincoln dealer, they can get what you need, often at a better price. So bigger isn't always better, is it?
The biggest thing about Parkway Lincoln is they're like family. Online at parkwaylincoln.net.
Love is the answer. Community is the context. City with Dwellings works to create change and cultivate a community of care so that people can move with dignity from trauma and homelessness to healing and housing stability. City with Dwellings serves people in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County experiencing homelessness and housing security with an intentional focus on individuals experiencing unsheltered homelessness, living in places not fit for human habitation. For volunteer opportunities, visit City with Dwellings on Broad Street in Winston-Salem or visit their website, citywithdwellings.org.
Again, St. Bede's story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard His ear said, Maraca, senor, but his nose said, hey, freshest scent ever. Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing. Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
I went to My Computer Career because I needed job security.
Because I wanted a career in cybersecurity.
I went to My Computer Career because IT jobs are everywhere.
My old job was going nowhere.
I went because I didn't want college loans for the rest of my life.
Because I wanted a career for the rest of my life.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Classes available online or in person. Financial aid available for qualified students, including the GI Bill. 529 college savings plans accepted.
Not available in Washington State.
Amplifying the voices of the Triad with news, perspective, and community at the core. This is the Daily Pulse with Stephen Back.
Getting you set and ready for your day, Monday through Friday. A brand new show, The Daily Pulse, right here on WSJS and streaming WSJS.com. If you really love Beck, you can also get me on the weekends, Saturday mornings, 9 to 11 as well, waking up proud. Excited to be here with you more often. And a way you can be a part of the show is by phone, 336-777-1600, anytime you'd like. Christian and I would love to hear from you. Some stories that we may or may not get to if you don't hear them here on the Daily Pulse are things like a sweater-wearing alpaca at an airport that some local students at High Point University just actually went through. So I'm going to tease that for a second. We're going to get there. First, though, Nancy Guthrie, which would be the mother of Savannah Guthrie, has been missing now since January 31st. And that was a story that for the longest time would probably be front page headline news, all over the country. And it's gone dark a little bit. And I'm sure if you're like me, I had a spouse, my wife was really just, following that story. I don't know what it is about true crime and the female spouse population, but they love that kind of stuff. And so she was all over this. But if you're like me now, it's kind of like, well, what's the latest here? Yesterday, Savannah Guthrie issued a new public statement about the disappearance of her mother. She was last seen, like I said, January 31st, 2026, and authorities believe she was abducted from her home that night by a masked individual. There was surveillance footage that was shown by a doorbell camera being tampered with, and signs at the home suggested some foul play, like blood being spattered outside on the walkway and things like that. Savannah Guthrie and her siblings released this new emotional pill, kind of reaching out to everybody again yesterday, saying, quote, someone knows something. They are urging the public to revisit anything that they've potentially seen or heard. Check old footage, messages, or memories. Emphasis on even like the smallest of details that could be critical in this case. And according to some headlines this morning, to follow up on this a little bit, it appears that the FBI is also searching a nearby home that is abandoned that could potentially also hold details to this story as well. So we still don't know all in what has happened with Nancy Guthrie, but the family has not given up hope, and they're still reaching out, trying to get as many clues as they can. Now, from that, I could guarantee, just like they feel, I would feel the same. A lot of heartache, a lot of angst, a lot of anxiety, a lot of difficulties. And some of those feelings I just described there, people get when they hop on an airplane, when they get ready to travel and fly. And so if you are out and about flying at the Portland International Airport, like some High Point University students just got done doing for the NCAA tournament, then they may have seen these therapy animals that were there. Christian, I don't know have you ever seen like a dog wandering through the airport not necessarily one that's wearing like the FBI style vest, but just like a therapy animal that's supposed to be there to ease tension.
I've seen dogs walking through airports and stuff like that, and at big box stores that I'm not going to say because I don't think they're necessarily sport animals when they're the size of your palm. Anyways, but yeah, I've seen those, but I've never seen anything quite as strange as this.
Yeah, this one is a new one for myself, but I would never also imagine these animals being dressed, but they were. So here's the story. At the Portland International Airport, instead of the golden retrievers, black labs, maybe other dogs and cats and different therapy style support animals, there were llamas and alpacas wearing sweaters that were roaming through the terminal to help reduce stress. They say that these aren't just your typical farm animal. These are animals that are specially trained, therapy animals brought in from a nonprofit farm, accompanied by handlers to hope that people would feel better.
Oh my goodness, this is crazy.
Sharing it with you, it makes me feel better. But hey, I'll see you tomorrow. A lot's going to happen. I've got my finger on the pulse for you. We'll see you next on WSJS.
At WSJS.com.